Welcome back to Water and Ice Outdoors. If you're joining us again, thank you. If you've never seen a video before, please check out some of our other videos. We do a lot of bass fishing, catfishing, ice fishing, any kind of fishing really. So check it out, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. Today, we are talking about the Megabass Magdraft and whether or not it is worth spending the money on. Let's get to it. So there's all sorts of types of, large swim baits. You can do glide baits, you can do battle tails, hard glide baits, hard swim baits, or soft swim baits like this one. And this is the Magdraft from Megabass. And this happens to be the 6-inch Magdraft, and it also comes in 8. And this is the Magdraft Freestyle, which comes with just the plastic. And I've got it on an Owner the Beast swim bait hook with a belly weight here. This is a 3/8 ounce. And I've got it on a 7.4 heavy bait casting rod. And it's got a fairly moderate action. I'd say it's probably in between a moderate and a moderate fast, or a fast. And you want that because with these baits, the fish don't often get them in their mouth, completely in their mouth, to where you're going to have a great hookup ratio. So you want that bend, that give in the rod that can let that fish, grab the lure and give it a good head shake before you set the hook, because you want the fish to get this in your mouth to increase your hookup ratio. So today we're focusing on main points on the lake here. It's a smaller lake in the Twin Cities, and I've been fishing already, and as you can see, this thing's torn up, and you'd be surprised at the numbers that you catch with this. Even though it's such a big profile, the majority of fish I've caught today have been 2.5 to 3 pounders, which is honestly awesome. I don't think there's too many anglers out here that would complain with 2 to 3 pound fish all the time. But it also has the chance of catching those 4, 5, even 6 pound bass. And especially if you throw the 8-inch version of this Magdraft. So we're gonna show you how we retrieve it and how I like to set the hook and the action that I like to put in this lure. It's super simple. So we've talked about the rod, 7.4 heavy, moderate to moderate fast. Fast will probably work, but you want that parabolic bend, that give. Now let's talk about the reel and the line. So the reel, I'm using a Tatula SV. This particular one is a 7/3-1, and the reason I like that is because it's fairly fast, but it's slow enough to where you can really slow down, because that's what you want with these swim baits. You want that boot tail to just go boom, 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 because that's what really grabs the fish's attention. And the big profile obviously does too, but that action and that thumping of that big boot tail really grab their attention. So that's why I like this 7/3-1. You can slow it down. You do want to crank it slow. And then I've got 35-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. And because you're using a big profile lure, you are gonna run into pike, you are gonna run into muskie if you're on a body of water with muskie. So that fluorocarbon just gives you a little added protection from being bitten off. And then also, obviously, it's harder to see for the fish. So that's the setup that I like. And basically what we're doing is targeting main lake points, as I said earlier. So if you use that setup or something close to it, you're gonna catch fish, I'm telling you. Look at that. Popped out. First Magdraft fish. Not huge, probably a 2-pounder, but I'll take it. All right guys, I'm gonna talk about the bite that's going on today. And the reason it's important is because it's something that you can replicate on any lake. So today, hopefully you can hear me. It's super windy. Probably, it's not super choppy. I'm on a smaller lake, but it's windy. I mean, 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. What that wind does is push bait fish and creates a current in the lake, obviously. And when you sit on a main lake point, you can fish the windward side or the back side of that point. So the windward side, fish are gonna be setting up kind of right on that deep weed line or the inside weed line, and they're gonna be waiting for bait fish to get pushed by that wind over the weeds. And the second bite, which is what we're doing today, is we're sitting on the back side of the point, and when those bait fish get blown over the point, the fish are just lined up in mid-depth water, waiting for those bait fish and that food and forage to come over the top of that point, and they ambush them. And that's all I'm doing. I'm throwing to the top of this point, slow rolling this Magdraft back, and it's literally every other cast that I'm getting hit. They're not always eating it, but something is hitting this bait almost every other cast that I make. And it's right when I bring it out over that deep water. And the reason I'm talking about this is because you don't have to throw a Magdraft for this. You can throw crankbaits, you can throw top waters, you can throw swim baits, you can throw swim jigs. I mean, any reaction bait, basically, chatter baits, spinner baits, and it's gonna work. So if you have windy conditions, sit on the backs of main lake points that have a little bit of deep water to them, and you're gonna catch fish. Yes, dude. Look at how they are eating that Magdraft. This is such an awesome bite, you guys. I don't know how I haven't done this before. Magdraft, well, came out again, but top of the mouth. Whew. Now we're targeting main lake points with this presentation today, but another great option that you have with this lure is fishing docks and tree lines. So today we're focusing on main lake points, and as I said earlier, we're using the Magdraft. This is the Magdraft Freestyle, so one reason I like this is because with that swim bait hook, it's a lot more weedless than the original Magdraft, which actually has a belly treble hook. And that can get hung up on a lot of weed lines, because what we're doing here is we're casting it out to the top or the spine of a point and slowly cranking it back. And it only goes down about 5 to 6 feet, but that slow roll crank just keeps it above the weed line and brushes through the tops of the weed lines, almost like a crankbait or a spinner bait. Think of a spinner bait when you're throwing these. Cast it out, slow wind back. That's all you have to do. It doesn't get any simpler than that, right? So we're gonna cast it out to the top of the point. Rod tip down, and we're just slowly cranking it back. And the second this thing gets out over the break, it gets drilled. It's incredible. The first time I threw this lure, I really didn't think that it would get hit a lot. I thought it'd be kind of like fishing musky lures. You know, you're throwing, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 casts, and you're not getting a sniff. You know, you might see a follow or something like that, but I would say the majority of the time when the fish are biting, I'm getting hit every third, fourth, fifth cast. It might not hook up because it's such a large profile and we just have the single hook, but you're getting hit every, you know, handful of casts. And when they hit it, they absolutely truck it. Well guys, the wind has calmed down here. As you saw earlier, the wind picked up for a little bit and the bite really turned on. Now that it's calm, I mean, absolutely dead. I don't know where the wind went, but turned off the bite a little bit. But as you saw, plenty of proof. Throwing these big swim baits on a hot summer day, it's gonna get the job done. Even on a bite where you'd think everything's telling you it's a negative. We didn't catch any big ones, but they catch big fish as well and numbers. So next time you're out on a really hot summer day and you're thinking about, do I really want to go out in this heat? Give it a shot, because you can catch some big fish and have a ton of excitement with these big swim baits.